is Kelsey and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you're here. We're going to do our June wrap up. And in the month of June, I read 10 books. These 10 books right here. And we're going to talk about them. I'm going to give you my ratings on them, tell you a little bit about them, what I think, what I liked, what I didn't like. It's going to be a typical wrap up. June was chaotic for me. It was just so chaotic. So I did most of this on audiobook. I think all but I think all of them were audiobook now that I'm looking at it. I had to go through the list. All of them were audiobook. I happen to have the physical copies. Yay, but I think every single one of them was audiobook. Because it was so chaotic. I was listening to them here, there, and everywhere. So audiobook was my friend in June. Gotta love it. Some of them audiobooks were just wonderful. Some of them, the audiobooks were kind of, and I find that audiobooks are great when you're on the go like I was in June, because I can read and stay on my goal and stay on my task and stay what I'm doing and be able to stay up with my reading. So the first one I did was Pretty Rings and Broken Things by Kat Singleton. This is the second book in her Billionaire series, and I loved it. It was Winnie and Archer's book. It was a arranged marriage. It was so good. I fell in love with Archer. Archer has now made it onto my best boyfriends list. He is so stinking cute. This series has just been getting better and better. I just ordered and have gotten the next one that just came out in the series. And every book in this series has gotten just a little bit better and a little bit better. I am now a Kat Singleton girly. And I rated this book a 4.25 stars. It was fun, it was light, it was fluffy, it was all the things that I needed. It was a great arranged marriages are kind of my jam. I love a good arranged marriage. I love when the characters have this forced proximity to them. They have to get married. There's something that happens. And this one, right off the bat in the beginning, you're like, oh my gosh. And they are forced to get married for a crazy reason. And you find out that there's just all of this, in the way that Archer defends Winnie, and the way that Archer shows his love throughout the book to Winnie. It's so good. Kat Singleton's, this series has just been so good. I highly recommend this series. Like I said, 4.25 stars. We'll set this over here. I need a sip of my drink. Hold on. It's summer. It means Arnold Palmer's all the way for me. So then I finished out the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. I did The Ballad of Never After and a Curse for True Love. I loved these books so much, I ended up going and getting them in the hardback copy because they were so good. I rated both of these 4.25 stars. I loved these. This one was probably my favorite out of all of the books. They're both slow burns, so the whole series is a slow burn, and I'm not usually a huge slow burn girly, and I'll be honest with you, after my kind of Agatar disaster, if you know, you've watched my other videos, I did not like the Agatar book. I was a little bit hesitant to get back into fantasy, and these books just rocked my world and brought me right back into fantasy. And this book really, really did it for me, to bring me back into the realm of fantasy and to help me just feel like I could get back into fantasy books and romantasy books again and feel that excitement about them again, because I was like, whoa, maybe romantasy books aren't for me. Maybe I'm just a fourth wing, best guy girl, and that's my only romantasy books. But nope, I gave these books a chance, and these ones were great. I loved this one. This one was good too. The difference in this one is I felt like we get an extra person's point of view in this one. I don't want to spoil it. And his point of view kind of dragged me down a little bit. I feel like this one, I was expecting a lot more. I was hoping for this one to be higher ranked, a higher star rating than it was, because this one ends on such a bang. This one's oh my gosh, you have to immediately go get this one. And I was so excited about this. And then this one kind of, I don't know, I had such high hopes, and it kind of just, it maintained. It didn't end the series on the bang that I was hoping that it would. But they're still both really good. Highly recommend this whole series, Once Upon a Broken Heart. highly recommend the whole series. If you want a romantasy series, it has got no smut in it. So if you're looking for a romantasy series with no smut, if you're looking for a romantasy series that maybe a younger reader could read, this series is it. This series is 100% it. If you're looking for a romantasy series, or you're looking for a series that maybe you're not into the smut, absolutely. There's still love, there's still passion, there's still all of that, but there is no smut in this. But I ate it up. I ate this series up. So 4.25 for both of those books. Then we get into the series that I literally have been waiting for this book, the Honeycut book, to come out like all year. It was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. So of course, because Honeycut came out, I had to read the beginning of the series. And I had already read Salt in the Wound by Sierra Simone last year and Salt Kiss last year when it came out. So these were rereads for me this year, but I couldn't go into Honeycut without rereading these. So I reread Salt in the Wound, which is the prequel to this series. And it's fast-paced, but this series follows Tristan, Isolde, and Mark. And it's the Lioness series by Sierra Simone. Again, if you've watched my channel at all, you know that I am a Sierra Simone hooer. I'm a hooer for Sierra Simone. Sierra Simone can do no wrong. So this book right here, Salt in the Wound, is the prequel. It gives the backstory on Mark and Isolde, and kind of their, like, it gives you how they met, their little arrangement, what's happening. It's really short. It's like a novella. It's fast paced. I read it in half a day. I gave this book, it's a 4.25. It's incredibly spicy. This whole series is incredibly spicy. We went from like no spice in Once Upon a Broken Heart to like, this series is so spicy that you need milk. Like a whole gallon. So this is incredibly spicy. This book is like 5 spice. 4.25. When I say, 4.25 for this. Just because it's short and it gives a lot to be desired. But that's because it leads directly into Salt Kiss. And Salt Kiss is Tristan's book. Tristan's perspective, everything is in one POV. It's telling it from what happens with Tristan, and you go and you find out what happens with Tristan as Tristan kind of navigates the world as he becomes Mark's bodyguard, as we find out what's like unfolding at Lioness. And this book is really great. It's got some super spicy scenes in it. It also like has some like, oh my gosh, and it ends on a freaking cliffhanger. It ends on a cliffhanger that you're like, what the hell? But you're introduced to all of the characters, you're introduced to the setting, you're given Big Bad Mark, which Daddy Mark can do no wrong. Isolde is brought into the fold, and you fall absolutely head over heels for your knight in shining armor, which is Tristan. And then comes Honeycut. Oh, and I gave this one a 4.75. Then comes Honeycut. This is a 5-star read for me. I can't explain how much I freaking loved this book. I ate this book up. I listened to this, I listened to this audiobook and I could not stop. I stayed up all night listening to this audiobook. It was so good. It ends on the worst cliffhanger of all time. It's comparable to Iron Flame's cliffhanger, and if you know anything about Iron Flame's cliffhanger, you know it's comparable. It's a comparable cliffhanger, okay? It's got some of the spiciest scenes that I've ever read. Like, go take you a cold shower, drink some milk. Like, you need Jesus. Let's all go to church on Sunday. Spicy scenes. It follows Tristan, Isolde, and Mark as they've come back from their, as Isolde has come back into the world. We know all the things now. We're trying to unravel things. If you've read this book, you know that Isolde is kind of what she's doing for her. She's an assassin. She's an assassin for God. I don't want to give too much away. If you know this book, Tristan went to get Isolde. Now Isolde is back. everything is kind of like you're learning more, but you're also not learning more. And the sordid triangle between the three of them is just a mess, but it's also like hot as all get out. I cannot speak highly enough for this book. The cliffhanger has my brain just scrambled eggs. Scrambled eggs does this book have my brain at the end. Bitter Burn is the next one in the series, and it's supposed to come out early next year. Sierra Simone needs to finish that book. She said that it's almost done, and her publisher is going to get it here soon. She needs to finish it, and it needs to come out sooner than next year. Like, please, Jesus, please, can it come out for Christmas? I was asking that. I was like, can it be a Christmas read? I don't want to have to wait for next year for all the good books. Like, 2025 is just going to be the year of great books. But 5-star read. This was probably like the highlight of my month, reading this series. Highlight of my month was reading this series. I can't even express to you how much I loved that. So then after I put that down, I knew I needed to I was like, oh, I'll do a palette cleanser. Nope, I decided to stay in the dark realms, and I picked up the next book in the Never After series by Emily McIntyre. I picked up Scarred, and this book was so good. People told me that this was their favorite in the series, and I see why. It was so good. It is a play on The Lion King, which, if you know anything about The Lion King, you also know that that's a play on Hamlet by William Shakespeare. So there's just a lot of layers to this book. There's a lot of moving pieces to this book. It was phenomenal, and I highly recommend this book. It was so good. It's dark. It is dark as all get out. I'm just telling you, we stayed in the dark romance for a while this month. I needed a lot of Jesus this month, y'all. I gave this book a 4-star. Again, it was dark, and I only gave it a 4-star because there was a couple times where it just kind of dipped a little low for me, and it felt a little repetitive, and it felt a little bit like the storyline needed to progress a little bit faster. But overall, still such a fantastic read. Such a fantastic read. I would read this book again. This series so far has been really, really good. Highly recommend this series so far. Highly recommend. And then the last 3 books that I read during a really, really stressful week at the end of June, and when I was in a really, really, really hard place. And when I get in places like dark places and hard places, I tend to turn towards comfort things. And if you know anything about me, you know one of my comfort places is we're gonna go with Greer, we're gonna go with Embry, and we're gonna go with Ash. And I went to the new Camelot series. And I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this because if you've watched my channel at all, you know everything about this series because I've talked about this series so much. I've actually been asked to do a vlog on this series, and it's going to be coming here pretty soon. I'm just vlogging about this series because someone was like, you just need to vlog about it. And I was like, absolutely I do. So I'm going to do a whole video vlog on this series and why I love it so much. And we're going to talk more about it. But these are absolutely 5-star books. You cannot talk to the wall if you can't tell me these are not 5-star books. These are books that have absolutely love these books. They were comfort reads for me. I listened to them while I was in a really, really dark and stressful place the last week in June. And they brought me great comfort. They bring me great joy, even though these 2 in particular are really, really sad and have some really this one isn't as sad. This one hooks you, and then these 2 are break your heart. So if you haven't read them, hook, sink. It's just how it is. So that being said, those are the 10 books that I read this month. I am so glad that you join us. My goal is to read another 10 books or more in July. I have a lot of downtime in July. Let's see how much I can do. So we'll see. Until next time, friends. Bye-bye.